The Panda Dunks were one of the most popular shoes over the last 5 years, so much so that a lot of big top brands made suspiciously similar looking shoes that were clearly made to ride the wave that the Dunks created. But after I called Dunks dumb in a video that now has millions of views, people did not think Dunks were dumb and they told me to prove them wrong. So I did my best and I went to New Balance 480. And to my surprise, they were right. Dunks were better. But we're back this time, coming from the skate shoe angle with this pair of Vans Lowlands to cut in half and run through our tests to really figure out, can a skate shoe dethrone the Dunks? Is this Vans Lowland just a cash grab full of cheap materials to sell massive amounts to people that don't know any better? They also said they got rid of the ComfyCush, so what did they replace it with, and is it better or is it worse? And who actually makes the best Panda Dunk-style shoe out of New Balance, Vans, and Nike? And the history of these shoes is actually pretty interesting because the last time we found out that technically New Balance released their 480 in 1983, followed by the Dunks in 1985. So technically New Balance was the first one to come out with this low top kind of style, even though you can say the Air Force Ones were before it. But what about the Lowlands? When were they designed? Well, to my surprise, the Lowlands are based off the Serios, not Serio, Serio, which were Vans' attempt at breaking into the performance footwear market in 1982. So in a way, Vans is the oldest pattern that's similar to these Dunk patterns, but keep in mind it was inspired by the Serio. They look fairly different, but ultimately I just love the fact that these three shoes that were designed within 3 years of each other are still competing for supremacy, but no longer in performance, but just straight style. And now with this video, quality. So what are the contenders of this video? Well, first to the OG, the brand is Nike, the style is the Dunk Low Retro. They weigh 13.4 ounces. They retail for 120 bucks and they're made in China. Compared to the New Balances, the brand is New Balance, the style is the 480. They weigh 15.6 ounces. They retail for $89, so a little bit cheaper than the Dunks, and they're made in Indonesia. And then to the new contender, the brand is Vans, the style is the Lowland. They weigh 15 ounces. They retail for $85, so the cheapest of the bunch, and they're made in Vietnam. And the way they position this product is the Lowland 2.0. It takes everything loved about the Lowland and builds on it, delivering a fresh blend of Vans sport-inspired heritage and modern innovation. With an updated fit for improved comfort and durability, full rubber cupsole replacing ComfyCush tech. It's built for lasting wear without compromising style. Perfect for those who value versatility and authenticity. And if you want any of these, check them out, the links in my description. The only thing worse than destroying my favorite footwear every single week over and over and over is paying for gas, especially with these prices. It's ridiculous. But I've been using the app Upside, and it's actually been saving me money at the pump every time I come here. And if you don't know what Upside is, it's the free app that allows you to get cash back on stuff like groceries, like gas, even dining out. Take your lady out for a nice date, get some cash back. And it's super easy to do. First, all you do is download the app, filter for the gas stations around you. Next, select a participating gas station and push the claim button. Then all you have to do is pay with your card like you usually do, and boom, cash back. And to put it in perspective, the top Upside users are earning up to $300 a month. So to see how much you can earn, click the link in the description and use the code ROSEANVIL. That's gonna get you 25 cents off your first tank of gas. So fill it up. Go all the way to empty, get that 25 cents off. Or you can scan the QR code right here on screen, download the app, same way. So download Upside and start getting money back on the stuff you're already paying for. So check out Upside. Thanks for sponsoring this video. Some pretty good claims from Vans in their description. So let's start looking at the materials, starting with the upper materials. First, starting with the Nikes, their leather is 1.5 millimeters thick, so very average for sneakers. But like most Nikes, pretty cheap leather with a heavy coating and embossed on top. We did the burn test to back that up, and you can see it kind of fizzled and burned off. And we did the puncture test, and it punctured through at 120. Compared to the New Balances, this is where it let me down because I was really hoping, because New Balance is known for using like pig suede and high quality materials and high quality midsoles and all this stuff, and they're nicer shoes. But unfortunately, half the shoe was fake leather. The real leather was 1.5 millimeters thick, but it was only in the toe, eyelets, and back heel counter. But the puncture test did do pretty well at 143 pounds. But my biggest gripe was there's just so much fake leather in the shoe. The collar is fake, the white underneath the collar is fake, the white in is fake, the in is fake, and there's a couple other pieces spread throughout that are fake as well. So pretty disappointing. But that wasn't the only reason I chose the Dunks over the New Balances that we'll go over in a minute. So how does the leather materials compare to the Vans? Well, unfortunately, it's also made out of real and fake leather. The real leather is 1.5 millimeters, so right on par with the rest. It has a heavy coating, just like the rest of them. We burned it, the back's about the same. But there's so little real leather that we couldn't even do the puncture test on it, because the only real leather is just this black leather, which is not very much of the shoe, and maybe this little V right here. The synthetic areas are basically all the white leather, the black V underneath, the textile kind of looking tongue, the rubber bumper on the heel, which I kind of like, but mostly fake leather. So like I mentioned, we had to do the puncture test on the synthetic, and it punctured through at 39 pounds. So backing up that idea that fake leather just never really stands up to real leather, not even talking about how bad it creases and how fast it looks terrible. So unfortunately, the way I'd rank these from the upper materials is Nike, number one, New Balance, and then Vans, just because of how little leather there actually is. But I think the real difference is mostly going to be in the midsole, because that's what they replaced the ComfyCush with. That was one of the biggest differences between the New Balance and the Nikes. And some of the other parts, like the lining and the insoles, are so similar, they're really not even worth going over, except for maybe the shape, which the Vans is surprisingly narrow. But one thing that is very different about the Vans compared to probably all the Vans that you have, most Vans are a vulcanized construction, where they take the outsole and the upper and they use uncured tape that's rubber essentially to bind it all together. They put it in a big oven and it cures together. But because of that, it's one of the most failure prone ways of making shoes, but it's also one of the cheapest ways to make shoes. But what's different about this is it's not vulcanized, it's a cupsole, which I really like because I think it's a lot more durable. You get more support, and it allows you to have a cupsole and have it glued together and to have it sidewall stitched. And that's exactly what this Vans has. It has all three of those. So I think this is gonna be significantly more durable than most of the Vans out there. The durometer of the outsole is around 60 to 65 Shore A. So how does that compare to these other cupsoles? Well, they're pretty much the same across the board. They're all cupsoles, they're all sewn, they're all around 60 to 65 Shore A. We did the bar drop test on them to see if we can get out any difference between them. The Nike mounts up 6.8, the New Balance 3.4, and the Vans, the absolute worst, at 3. But that doesn't mean it's the worst, because it could mean that they're just absorbing the impact and it's not super high rebound. So we'll really wait to see if that low score is because it's really soft and squishy and it deadens the blow, or if it's just dead and it doesn't give you any support. We also ran the puncture test with 59 for the Nikes, 83 for the New Balance, and 65 for the Vans. So once again, the cupsoles are so similar that I wouldn't give one the edge over the other. So to me, it all comes down to the midsole, because if the midsole doesn't redeem the Vans, the Dunks will probably win again. So then before we cut to the Vans, what's the midsoles on these two? The main reason why I chose the Dunks over the New Balances last time? Well, the Dunks have a foam midsole. So you got the cupsole, the durability of that, and you get the squish and comfort of a nice squishy midsole. And it's pretty soft too. It comes like a 30 Shore A. Compare that to the New Balances, and it's just a cheap structured outsole, which is unfortunate because New Balance is known for doing all these fancy foams, these different layers, all this high-tech stuff that's from the running industry infused into every shoe they make, but it's just cheap columned outsole. And it's not that it's that bad, because it's pretty common to see, and it is a more affordable shoe, but comparing the two, this one's gonna be more durable, more comfortable, and the whole shoe basically is just better all around. So now we got to figure out, what did they replace the ComfyCush with? Is it actually better? Is it some new technology that's infuses into the cupsole like the Dunks, or is it something completely different? Let's find out and see if the Vans can redeem themselves. I'm gonna toss them at you. The Bushwar Troopers just dropped in 2 colors, 300 pairs each, super limited. We might not ever do these again because it's just a remake of a historical shoe. If you don't like the double buckle, check out its progenitors. All this patterning back and forth of the Barefoot Troopers all the way down to the Rugged Troopers is what led us to this. Check them out below. Okay, we got it cut in half, and if you're not subscribed, consider pushing that little subscribe button. If you want to support us and help us fund buying brand new products every single week, like 3 times a week, just to destroy, to show you what you're actually spending your hard-earned money on, you can give us a sub, give us a like, check out our handmade leather goods we make right here in the shop by me and my crew, our collaborations where we work with some of the coolest brands in the world to really push the limits on footwear. That's how we afford to do this, so check all those out below. So now, let's see what they did with ComfyCush. Unfortunately, they took out ComfyCush, which is very comfy, and they just replaced it with basically the exact same outsole, or the midsole and outsole, as the New Balances. They're almost identical. And that's such a bummer, because I thought for sure, like, oh, Vans is evolving, they're doing a cupsole, a sidewall stitch, and they replaced ComfyCush with something better, bigger, more squishy, more of that. Turns out it's just more old school, cheap technology. What a disappointment. I don't think it's that bad because it's the cheapest of the 3 shoes, but I was just hoping, maybe Vans with the skate industry and having so much impact resistance and all these technologies developed through the skate industry might get applied to a more casual shoe, especially with the histories of those shoes, all three of these shoes really being performance shoes initially, and then clearly no longer. So in terms of leather, how would I rank these? Well, Nike, New Balance, Vans. In terms of the outsole, insole, and lining, basically the same across the board. And for the midsole, it's Nike on top, and then these two, New Balance and Vans, at the bottom. So my overall ranking, once again, is Nike Dunks at top, New Balance 480, and then Vans Lowland. So somehow the Dunks are still the king of dunks. Kind of makes sense. And I'm eating my dunks are dumb words again. So honestly, it seems like Dunks were popular for more than just the hype. Because on occasion, hype and quality and comfort intersect, and people are hyped about a shoe that is actually decent quality. And that seems to be the case with the Nikes. Everything else we've cut is just cheaper, has less high quality materials, is less comfortable, less durable, and I basically proved myself wrong that Dunks are not dumb. They actually have quality, they actually have comfort. There is good reason why people love these. I'm wrong once again until we find something that's better. So if you have something out there that's in the same style as black and white Panda, low top, kind of cupsole design, let me know what it is, because someone has to make a better version of Dunks than Nike, but maybe not. Because I've been wrong 3 times in a row now. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know what you think. And if you were disappointed as I was in Vans, I was expecting so much more, and let me down across the entire shoe too. So let me know what you think. And thank you guys for your support. Give us a sub, give us a like, check out our handmade leather goods, because that's how we are able to afford to do this. So thank you guys. See ya.